Hello, I'm SP from Better Podcasting, and I had an equipment failure recently. I bought these LSR305 JBL studio monitors about 3 years ago, February 2017. It's now July 2020. And for the past couple of weeks, probably past month or so, I've noticed that this lovable speaker, this flat response monitor that I bought so that I could edit my shows a little bit better without wearing headphones or cans the entire time, I noticed that the right speaker of the pair blew on the lower end. So listening to YouTube videos, often there's a low hum throughout them, whether it's music or background noise or something like that. I got this kind of like buzzing and kind of a little clanky sound. First, I thought it was something ajar in the podcast desk and the hutch that was around it. It wasn't. I tried various different audio interfaces and mixers, and the left speaker was fine, or the left monitor was fine. The right one is not fine, and it wasn't isolated to anything. So yeah, I've troubleshot it, and this unfortunately is toast. It will never really work again. I mean, you can get sound out of it, but it's always going to have something wrong with it. So I thought about, what am I going to do to replace this? I looked into some upgrades, let me tell you, because I wanted to upgrade all along about this point in time, maybe a couple years away. So I looked at, I believe they're pronounced Genelac or Gen-E Lex. I looked at Yamahas, I looked at Neumann's, I looked at KRK's, I looked at a lot of higher end studio monitors about the same size. So I can't go bigger in my application. I'm kind of limited to about the 5-inch size to use. It's not any noise issue in the house or with my family. It is simply that is all the space I have to put it into the podcast desk. However, I'm having some home repairs done specifically around the podcast studio right now, and I didn't want to buy a $1,000 speaker, $2,000, $3,000 speaker, only to have to move it around in the house a little bit and then have me, clumsy me, drop it and break it. And that is always a possibility. So I decided to go ahead and replace these with the exact same thing. The only problem is they don't make these anymore. The JBL LSR, or Linear Spatial Reference, I'm actually reading it on the back, LSR305s, they are discontinued. And JBL has gone on to a new one called the 305P MKII, which I assume means Mark II. So 305P Mark II. Now, what were the differences? I looked at the specifications. So the LSR305s has a frequency response of 43 hertz to 24 kilohertz. It has a max peak SPL of 108 dB SPL, and it has a max peak input of 23 dBu. So I went into the new ones, the 305P Mark IIs, and it has a frequency response of 43 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So I lost 4 kilohertz off of the deal, but that's okay. It's probably so high I can't hear it anyway with my old ears, and I have a hearing problem anyway, for those that don't know. So there's that. The maximum peak SPL is 108 dB, and the maximum peak input level is 20.3 dBu, so lost a little bit off of that. It was 23 with these. Now, I don't know if this is JBL going through a different measurement standards. On the specifications, there's a lot more technical specifications with the 305P Mark IIs that weren't available for the LSR 305s. I can only imagine that they've gotten better when it comes to building these and measuring these. So I think for the most part, it's the same fit form. We'll see. We'll put them side by side. I saw the dimensions and it seemed like everything was pretty similar except for the depth. I think the new ones are a little shorter. I mean, it's imperceptible. You'll see it when I put them side by side. And the new ones are a little heavier by 0.1 kilograms. So it's really no big deal. These were 4.6. The new ones are 4.7. Again, could have been that somebody was just measuring them differently. I don't know. I'm not going to measure them. As long as they have the same inputs, which they do, according to what I've seen online. They have the XLR input. They have the 1/4 inch TS input or TRS input. I use the TS input because I'm only using one channel off of them. And the power is the same. So I will literally be able to take this out like I just did out of my setup and put the new ones in, and it should just be plug and play. The fast response is going to be easy to get back up and running after I do this video. It's going to be seamless, supposedly. I decided to get 2 speakers, not just one, because I don't know if there was something I did that is affecting the left one, and the left one's going to go eventually too, so I thought might as well get them both at the same time. From time to time, I have mistakenly, and this is a mistake, turned off the mixer before I turn off the speakers. That puts a power spike or an audio spike through the cables to the speakers, and that could have indeed blown this one. It could have just, that's how good it is. You get 3 years out of it, and then anything else is bonus. Either way, I wanted to make sure I had a fresh pair going into the next year or two as I do the home repairs around the podcast studio, maybe move the studio somewhere else, and then get back into the studio, because it is, from a podcast standpoint, where I'm going to be. I might be doing video stuff in another place in the house. Obviously, I'm in the kitchen. I'm actually at the same kitchen table that I used 3 years ago when I unboxed these puppies. We'll get into it. I'll unbox one of them. Don't need to unbox 2 of them. And we'll put them side by side, and then that'll be the end of the video. And I might come back later in the studio and just tell you how the experience went, and if they sound the same, or if they sound better, or whatever. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and unbox this. And it's so big that I actually have to stand up, and I have to get the actual unboxing knife and go ahead. I've actually had this in the house for a couple of days, and I have not unboxed it because I wanted to do it right here with you. And because of that, I've been dealing with that old speaker. Now, in true fashion, I do podcasting in mono, so it really doesn't matter if I had this in a stereo pair or not, but I also watch YouTube videos with it, and sometimes those are in stereo, so I kind of wanted a pair of them going forward. In true Sweetwater fashion, got a nice little thank you and huge bubble wrap. And here is the Mark II box. Sweetwater also usually packs something else. Nope, they did not. COVID took away the candy. All right, now that the big box is out of the way, the other speaker's in the box, by the way. So we have this 305P Mark II powered studio monitor. I think the P is for powered on this one, whereas the LSR were for linear spatial reference before, being a reference speaker. These speakers you can get for about $150 US. And they are pretty much in stock right now. As I'm doing this in July 2020, it's touch and go whether stuff is in stock anymore. So these were in stock. No, they were not in stock. Sweetwater actually had to wait a week before they shipped it to me. So I've been waiting for these for quite some time. And there's a box within a box. We'll go ahead and just dump it out here slowly. There we go. It's upside down, but that's quickly rectifiable. Pretty cool here. So that's the front of the box. You got a picture of the speaker on the box. On the top, there's not much there. On this side, it says big power, big sound, transducers that deliver the truth, and patented slip stream port, professional balance inputs, selectable input sensitivity, HF trim, volume control, boundary HQ, MK2 or Mark II high frequency transducer, and MK2 low frequency motor design. So a lot going on there, and you have a bunch of technical information in other languages on the other side, which I'm not going to show. But a nice little box. If I was in the store, I wouldn't mind getting this and taking it home. Honestly, I don't care about the packaging as long as it is packaged. because I want it to be new when I take it home. So we'll go ahead and open this box here. We have a quick setup guide, not quick guide setup guide, quick setup guide. It tells you it tells you to basically do what I did when I took it out, is that turn it over and gently lift it up and then turn it over. So they actually recommend in this paper opening it the way I opened the other box. So no bad points about me tipping the other box over, because I'm going to tip this box over too here. There is a gel pack to make sure everything stays nice and dry in there. Go ahead, slowly lift it up. And you get the power cord. Get the power cord there. You get the actual speaker that is wrapped. And we're going to go ahead and open this from the bottom with the knife. Sometimes I'll want to tear into these, but we won't tear into this too much. The other thing is I don't want to jostle it around too much because I don't want to damage the driver. You don't want to push in on the driver, which is on the front here, facing me. There we go. Never going to need that again. It does have the power cord attached to it. It is a standard power cord that has been used in computers and electronics for a long, long time. It's just got the 3 prongs to it. So, and it's got a grounded plug into the wall. It's the same thing that's in there right now. I'm assuming that wasn't the problem that blew the speaker. So we'll just go ahead and use that power cord. Although now that I say that, I might look into it. I don't know. Anyway, here is the speaker. It's upside down, of course. And if you put them side by side, it's not much difference at all. It looks the same from the back here. Probably looks the same for the front. The actual back looks almost identical. You've got the XLR port. I'll turn it around so you can see. You got the XLR port. You got the TRS jack, quarter-inch jack, and you have a volume control in there. It is a clickable volume control, so it has little segments that you can go up and down, and a power button on off, which I don't reach around to do at all. I actually power it on and off from a power strip that is part of my audio rack underneath the mixer that I have. I'm going to go ahead and turn these around, and I'm going to take away the packaging on the front. I'll turn them around again. Well, I will say the new one is definitely shinier. The JBL is in the middle versus on the bottom. Aside from that, it is, and it's square versus rounded on the top. So I guess you can stack other speakers or something on top of it. I wouldn't. I try not to impede speakers at all. But it's the same fit form. Oh, the bottom speaker, the 5-inch speaker, on the old one, you could actually torque those out with torque screws. On this one, it looks like it's just set in there and you're not going to move it. The other thing that I'm wondering is if it has a power light. It looks like it's in the middle of that JBL marking on the speaker. So I'm pretty sure I see that there, versus a separate power indicator on the old one. So that's it. It's the same speaker really that I had before. It has a little bit different specifications, but I don't know if that's because JBL measured it or took it somewhere else to measure it versus this one. And the differences I think are going to be imperceptible to me personally because I can't hear that high. And I'm excited to get to use these. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. I'll go ahead and answer anything that you might want. I'm just a lowly hobby podcaster, so I'm not looking at a true professional setup. I will tell you that for the price of $150 per 5-inch reference speaker, these give amazing performance. And yes, it definitely wouldn't hurt to go higher in price, but I'm just gonna go ahead and keep this for another year or two until I go and into my final podcast studio layout. And out of the ones that I mentioned, I'm leaning towards a 5-inch Neumann, which is very expensive, but I'm leaning that way. We'll see when I get there what I actually do. In the meantime, these will just do great for me, and hopefully I won't make the same mistake of powering on or off the mixer without powering these off first. So not to get those spikes in through the speaker, assuming that's the reason that it went bad to begin with. If it was just parts that went bad, then it's JBL craftsmanship, and that's just gonna be what it's gonna be. I use them a lot over the course of 3 years, almost every day. So I think I got my money's worth out of them. So that's it for this portion of the video. Like I said, I'll probably come back, give you a little segment on what I think about them after I get them installed, and that'll be it. So go ahead and leave a comment if you need to. Go ahead and give the video a like if you've enjoyed this, and if you want to see more of these unboxings and equipment upgrades that Steven and I do throughout the years with our better podcasting gear. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we will be doing more of these as time progresses. So thanks, guys. Hopefully see you in a little bit.